Hello there, welcome to Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you. All the day's big stories from India and across the world coming up in the next 30 minutes. So let us start with the news bulletin. And on the second day of the government's Vande Bharat mission, out of the 6 repatriation flights scheduled for arrival across different destinations in India, 2 flights reached their destinations. This is part of the biggest repatriation exercise undertaken by the Government of India for people stranded across the world due to the coronavirus pandemic. Just before noon, Air India flight AI-381 carrying 234 passengers landed in New Delhi from Singapore. At 2 p.m., AI-1242 flight carrying 168 passengers from Dhaka in Bangladesh touched down in Srinagar. Thermal screening of the passengers was carried out by health officials when they landed at the terminals, and only those who showed no signs of fever were allowed to come out of the airport. In a tweet, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar welcomed those who have returned. More such flights are scheduled from the 2 destinations owing to a high concentration of Indian expats and students there.
The embassy, the Indian embassy, they did a good job actually. We had to do an online registration for that firstly, and then they sent us the emails accordingly, and we had to book our tickets. So they did a good job, pretty good job actually.
Thankful to High Commission highly, and especially Akar Joshi, who's the first secretary. He had been helping us throughout, and thank you so much for the evacuation. We were happy to reach out.
Air India flights from Riyadh to Calicut, Bahrain to Cochin, and 2 flights from Dubai to Chennai are also slated for arrival later today. Meanwhile, around 750 Indians embarked for Kochi from the Maldives capital Malé as part of Indian government's Operation Samudra Setu on Indian naval ships.
फंसे हुए नागरिकों को चरणबद्ध तरीके से भारत वापस लाएं। यात्रा की व्यवस्था नॉन शेड्यूल्ड कमर्शियल फ्लाइट्स और नौसेना के जहाज़ों द्वारा की गई है, जिसकी प्रक्रिया 7 मई से शुरू हो गई है। विदेश मंत्रालय यात्रियों की सूची उनके आगमन से पहले संबंधित राज्यों के साथ साझा करेगी।
India's massive repatriation exercise to bring back stranded Indians began on Thursday with 2 flights landing in Kerala. The first flight of the mission, carrying 181 people from Abu Dhabi, landed in Kochi around 10 p.m. on Thursday. The second flight with 182 passengers from Dubai landed in Kozhikode roughly 20 minutes later. Through the mission, India will send 64 flights and 3 Navy ships to repatriate Indians stranded abroad. Nearly 15,000 Indians are expected to return home over the next week from 12 countries. The operation will continue till May 13th. Let's get all the updates from our colleague Akhilesh Suman, who is joining us live from the national capital. Very good evening, Akhilesh. Akhilesh, so Vande Bharat mission to bring back Indians who have been stranded in different parts of the globe due to the lockdowns amid the coronavirus pandemic has really gotten off to a firm start, because 2 flights bringing back Indians touched down on 2 different airports in the country last night. So tell us about the arrangements that are being made across different airports in our country for these passengers who are arriving, and also the facilities that are being extended to them.
It is very natural that when they will come back from abroad to India, whichever airport or port they will land, they will kept in quarantine in the same city. And after they complete the period of 2 weeks here in quarantine, they will be allowed to go back to their respective villages or towns wherever they want to go. So this is the process, and this is the standard protocol.
Right. Akhilesh, and apart from these, the government is readying other flights as well to facilitate other Indians who are stranded in other parts of the globe as well under Operation Vande Bharat. So tell us more about the government's plans. What are the other flights that are being planned, and also which all countries are going to be covered under this operation?
You know that there are 12 countries in this phase to be taken back from different countries, and there will be 64 flights. So the next 5 days will also be very hectic, and there are countries that are left is USA, like Malaysia, like United Kingdom, like Oman, Kuwait, Philippines, Qatar, and USA, UAE, Singapore, UK, they will be coming in different flights and by many flights. It's not that one flight has come and the whole evacuation process from that country is complete. So there will be many flights, and what I feel that after 13 May also there may be many more flights, so that all those Indian citizens who are stranded and who have applied, and still what I come to know that there are many citizens who are still applying in the embassy or high commissions that are abroad. So I think it will continue for many more weeks that is coming in future,
All right, Akhilesh, thank you so much for all the details on India's massive repatriation program to bring back its citizens who are stranded abroad amid the coronavirus pandemic. Thank you so much. And time now to take a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers in India.
India reported 3,390 new cases in the last 24 hours, taking the total cases to 56,342. 103 people died in the country during the same period. Till now, 16,540 patients have been cured and 37,916 patients are under active medical supervision. In all, 29.36% patients have recovered so far.
हमारी रिकवरी परसेंटेज देखें तो वह अभी 29.36% हो चुकी है, यानी कि अब तक हॉस्पिटलाइज हुए पेशेंट में से लगभग हर 3 में से एक पेशेंट रिकवर क्योर हो चुका है, और यह रिकवरी रेट जैसे कि हम बताते रहे हैं लगातार बढ़ रहा है। कल तक का डेटा देखें तो हम पाते हैं कि जो हमारे पेशेंट एक्टिव मेडिकल सुपरविजन में हैं उनमें से 3.2% ऑक्सीजन सपोर्ट पर हैं, 4.7% आईसीयू सपोर्ट से रिलेटेड सर्विसेज पा रहे हैं, और साथ में 1.1% पर्सन जो हैं वे वेंटिलेटर सपोर्ट पर हैं।
The Indian Railways has converted 5,231 coaches into COVID care centers, which will be placed at 215 identified railway stations. Railways has also deployed 2,500 doctors and 35,000 paramedics for COVID-19 migrants. These coaches will be used for treatment of very mild and mild cases of COVID-19.
पेशेंट को या तो एक इंडिविजुअल केबिन असाइन किया जाए या जरूरत अनुसार 2 कन्फर्म पेशेंट एक केबिन में रखे जा सकते हैं। 215 स्टेशंस में से 85 स्टेशंस पर इवन हेल्थ केयर स्टाफ भी रेलवे द्वारा प्रोवाइड किया जाएगा, और एडिशनली जो 130 रेलवे स्टेशन हैं जहां पर ये कोविड केयर कोचेज होंगी, वहां स्टेट जब अगर उनकी रिक्वेस्ट के अनुसार स्टेट के द्वारा स्टाफ और एसेंशियल मेडिसिन प्रोवाइड की जाएंगी।
Meanwhile, Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan today interacted with the health ministers of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Telangana via video conferencing and assured the states of necessary assistance from the centre.
अन्य राज्यों से आने वाले माइग्रेंट वर्कर्स की उचित क्वारंटाइन व्यवस्था हर जिस स्टेट में वह लौट रहे वहाँ की जाए, और सारी यानी कि सीवियर एक्यूट रेस्पिरेटरी इलनेस और इन्फ्लुएंजा लाइक इलनेस केसेस की सैम्पलिंग और टेस्टिंग की उसको बढ़ाया जाए, उसकी आवश्यकता पर भी उन्होंने बल दिया। विदेश से लौटने वाले कॉन्टैक्ट्स, आइसोलेशन ऑफ सस्पेक्ट्स या कंफर्म केसेस के लिए राज्यों में फैसिलिटी क्वारंटाइन, फैसिलिटी आइसोलेशन के लिए होटल्स, सर्विस अपार्टमेंट, लॉजेज एटसेट्रा के यूज़ करने के लिए भी अतिरिक्त दिशा निर्देश जारी किए हैं। यह सर्विसेज क्लिनिकली असेस्ड प्री सिम्टोमेटिक और वेरी माइल्ड केसेस के लिए प्रोवाइड की जा सकती है, जिसके तहत जो लोग जिनके यहाँ पर रिक्वायर्ड होम आइसोलेशन की फैसिलिटीज अवेलेबल नहीं हैं वह इसका इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं।
The number of coronavirus cases in India is nearly 57,000 now, with Maharashtra being the worst affected state, accounting for nearly 1/3 of all the COVID-19 cases in our country. Here is a look at the coronavirus situation across different states of the country.
Maharashtra has seen 1,216 new cases in the last 24 hours, taking the total to 17,974, including 694 deaths. Love Agarwal, Joint Secretary of the Health Ministry, visited Mumbai on Thursday to take stock of the situation in the state. Agarwal asked the state government to take special measures in the containment zones. Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray also met the central team and other ward officers to discuss future action. Maharashtra Health Minister Rajesh Tope said that the state government plans to rope in workforce from other departments if the Brihan-Mumbai Municipal Corporation falls short of manpower. Meanwhile, 30 more border security force personnel, including 2 posted at its headquarters in Delhi, have tested positive for COVID-19, taking the overall infection in the force to 223. BSF has maximum confirmed cases of the disease among the Central Armed Police Forces. The CAPFs have over 500 active cases at present. In some good news, over 55% of corona patients have been cured so far in Rajasthan. With 26 new cases reported on Friday, the number of active cases has reached 1,450 in the state, while 1,903 coronavirus patients are now free of the infection. 100 people have died in the state. In Jharkhand, the number of patients who have been cured from the viral infection has increased to 50. Although the patients who are detected with the COVID-19 infection are mostly asymptomatic, the recovery rate in patients is higher than the national average in the state. Uttar Pradesh reported 74 fresh coronavirus cases on Friday, taking the total number of cases to 3,145. These cases have been reported from 68 districts, of which 9 have no active cases. So far, Uttar Pradesh has reported 63 deaths and has managed to discharge 1,261 COVID patients, while number of active cases in the state stand at 1,821. There has been a decline in the number of active cases since May 4th. In Andhra Pradesh, the total number of coronavirus positive cases reached 1,887 on Friday, as the growing number of coronavirus cases outside the hotspots became a cause of concern for the state authorities. In the last 24 hours, Andhra Pradesh has reported 54 cases with 3 deaths. The state has discharged 64 patients, taking the total number of fully recovered patients to 842, leaving 1,004 active cases in the state.
And in some other news, Union Home Minister Amit Shah held a review meeting of Director Generals of Central Armed Police Forces on Friday. At the meeting, the Union Home Minister took stock of the coronavirus situation in the paramilitary forces. He expressed concern over the increasing number of cases of COVID-19 infection in the Central Armed Police Forces. He also discussed measures to be taken to contain the further spread of the coronavirus. More than 380 active coronavirus cases have been reported in the Central Armed Police Forces so far. And in a tragic train mishap in Maharashtra's Aurangabad, 16 migrant workers lost their lives and 4 others were injured.
The accident took place early on Friday when an empty freight train ran over the 16 workers who were sleeping on the railway tracks. 14 of them died immediately, while 2 others succumbed to their injuries in hospital. The workers were on their way to Bhusawal from Jalna, a distance of about 150 kilometers, to board a Shramik special train to reach Madhya Pradesh. Tired of walking, they slept on the railway tracks between Badnapur and Karmad stations in Nanded division. Railway officials said the loco pilot tried to stop the train after seeing people on the tracks but could not stop on time. All the victims were labourers in a steel factory in Jalna. The Commissioner of Railway Safety South Central Circle will hold an inquiry into the incident. President Ramnath Kovind expressed grief over the incident. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu also expressed his condolences to the bereaved families. In a Twitter message, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said he was anguished by the loss of lives. He said he spoke to Union Railway Minister Piyush Goyal, who is closely monitoring the situation. Both Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh governments announced compensation of 5 lakh rupees each to the families of the deceased. The Madhya Pradesh government also announced 1 lakh rupees for those injured.
In some other news, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi on Friday held a virtual press conference to address the situation arising out of coronavirus outbreak in the country and the impact of lockdown on the economy.
Currently, the disease in India is...
Speaking to reporters, Rahul Gandhi said the novel coronavirus is not a deadly disease and the government must allay fears associated with it as part of measures to lift the nationwide lockdown. This, he said, is a must for the revival of the economy at this stage. Otherwise, people won't come out even after the lockdown ends.
currently the disease in India is seen as a very, very dangerous disease. And it is true. The disease is dangerous for certain groups of people. It is absolutely dangerous for older people. It is absolutely dangerous for people with diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, chronic infection, lung infection. But other than that, it is not a dangerous disease. So we are going to have to make a psychological change in the mind of our people. Currently, the people are very scared of the disease. The government, if it wants to open up, it has to turn this fear into a sense of confidence. Otherwise, you can open up and people won't go out.
Calling upon the government to immediately put money into the hands of the poor and also provide a financial package to the industry, Rahul Gandhi said the government must take quick measures or job losses will turn into a tsunami. The Congress leader also sought transparency in the centre's strategy to reopen the country and the economy, saying the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic should not remain centralized.
पैसे की जरूरत आज है. माइग्रेंट्स को पैसा आज देना है, सपोर्ट आज देना है. गरीब लोगों को आज पैसा देना है. और जो स्मॉल एंड मीडियम इंडस्ट्रीज हैं उनको आज मदद करनी है. कल नहीं, परसों नहीं, आज. क्योंकि अगर हमने आज नहीं मदद की तो जो जॉब लॉसेस हो रही हैं वो सुनामी बन जाएंगी. तो उसको हमें उनको कॉन्फिडेंस देना है, उनको प्रोटेक्ट करना है.
As India battles the COVID-19 pandemic, the Rajya Sabha expects to save more than 80 crore rupees by cutting its expenses. Speaking exclusively to Rajya Sabha television, Secretary General Desh Deepak Verma shared the details of the expenditure reduction plan. Here is the report.
You see, the first point.
Speaking to Rajya Sabha television, Rajya Sabha Secretary General Desh Deepak Verma highlighted the areas identified for saving in the current financial year. The austerity measures were decided at a meeting of the Rajya Sabha Secretariat, chaired by Vice President and Rajya Sabha Chairperson M. Venkaiah Naidu, who wanted an expenditure reduction plan to be prepared.
We concentrated on what could be the savings on different items, and we especially chose those items which could be deferred or which we thought that were the unproductive expenses. And we have identified items worth about 60 crores which we would be deferring in this year, and we are trying to reach the target of about 84 crores, 80 to 85 crores, which we will be doing the next phase of exercise.
Secretary General Verma also highlighted the austerity measures to be followed to cut the expenditure on the meetings of the parliamentary committees.
Regarding the members of the parliament, one decision which has been taken, and in fact the savings come from that only, that the parliamentary committee meetings in the financial year would not be held outside Delhi. It would be held in India, in Delhi, and it will not be held outside Delhi, and which will save the money on the domestic travel. And also it has been decided that in the foreign delegations, that also should be kept to the minimum.
The Secretariat has also initiated action to fill up the vacancies of chairmen of 8 committees which arose following the retirement of some members of the Rajya Sabha. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And now the global update. Gradual easing of restrictions is underway in many countries that are trying to come out of their respective nationwide lockdowns. Social distancing and wearing face masks are compulsory almost everywhere to prevent the resurgence of coronavirus outbreak.
Italy has reopened parks and public gardens. People across the country are allowed to return to work, but with social distancing on public transport. Yellow lines have been sprayed on the ground to guide commuters into the metro stations. Restaurants and museums are expected to reopen from 18th of May. Restaurants and cafes are now only offering takeaways. Spain has set in motion a 4-phase plan to reopen the country. Relaxation started with small businesses, beauty salons, and paper shops getting back to business. Restaurants, bars, and cafes were allowed to reopen since Monday, but are only offering delivery and takeaway services. They are expected to reopen for public at 50% capacity from the 11th of May. On Thursday, beaches in Barcelona were reopened for sporting activities. People are not allowed to rest on the beach or swim for leisure, and there are no lifeguards on duty. France will ease lockdown restrictions from Monday as new infections and deaths slow down. Schools will gradually reopen and businesses will be allowed to resume operations. Metros and train stations have been prepared to maintain social distancing norms. Wearing masks is compulsory while using public transport. Violations attract a fine of €135. Israel is gradually resuming social, economic and production activities. Malls and outdoor markets have reopened for the public. Israelis are now allowed to meet friends and relatives. Schools reopened partially on Sunday. They will return to regular schedules by the end of the month. However, commercial flights remain suspended for most parts of the country. Germany, Portugal, Belgium, Malaysia and Thailand have also started reopening factories, construction sites, parks and other small businesses. US President Donald Trump said his administration is considering more economic relief measures to ease the economic fallout due to coronavirus. In the US, about 33.5 million people have filed claims for unemployment benefits over a month.
Well, something could happen. There is talk about something happening, and we'll see what's going on. But the greatest thing that could happen, if we could get our country open again and get it going again, and have people have these great jobs again. And
more than 3.9 million people have been infected with the novel coronavirus globally, and over 271,000 people have lost their lives due to the deadly virus.
And now an update on the gas leak tragedy in Visakhapatnam. The National Green Tribunal on Friday issued notices to LG Polymers, the Union Environment Ministry and the Central Pollution Control Board in the Visakhapatnam chemical factory gas leak case.
The NGT also directed LG Polymers India, at whose plant the gas leakage occurred, to submit 50 crore rupees as interim amount for damages caused by the incident. The tribunal has formed a 5-member committee to probe the incident and submit a report before the 18th of May. Meanwhile, the Home Minister clarified that a minuscule technical leak had occurred at the chemical factory in Visakhapatnam. The clarification comes amid reports that there was a second gas leak at the LG chemical plant. The MHA said teams of the National Disaster Response Force and the National Environmental Engineering Research Institute are on the ground to support the local administration. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy has directed officials to prepare a roadmap to make Visakhapatnam city completely safe and free of industrial hazards. Styrene gas had leaked in the gas plant of LG Polymers in R.R. Venkatpuram village in Visakhapatnam district on Thursday morning, which claimed 11 lives. An FIR was registered against LG Polymers in connection with the incident.
स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूं कि ऐसा कुछ नहीं हुआ है, कोई सेकंड लीकेज नहीं हुआ है। ये जो प्रोसेस है इसको न्यूट्रलाइज करने की, उस प्रोसेस में थोड़े फ्यूम्स निकलते हैं, वो आगे भी थोड़े बहुत निकलेंगे, वो बहुत ही मिनिमल होता है, वो कैंपस के अंदर ही वो जो साइलो है उसके आसपास ही रहता है। हवा से स्मेल ज़रूर जाता है, उससे ये आकलन कर लेना कि सेकंड लीकेज हुआ है सरासर गलत है। एनडीआरएफ की टीम पूरी तरह से वहाँ कैंप करेगी, स्थल पर ग्राउंड जीरो पर कैंप करेगी और तब तक बनी रहेगी जब तक स्थिति पूर्णतः सामान्य ना हो जाए और स्थानीय प्रशासन ये ना कहे कि अब आपकी ज़रूरत नहीं है। तो इसलिए किसी तरह की र्यूमर मॉन्गरिंग में विश्वास ना करें।
And that's all the time we had for you in this edition of News Tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Good night. Stay home, stay safe, stay healthy. Bye-bye.